Welcome, everyone, to another Inspirational Entrepreneur Spotlight interview. Hi, I'm Virginia Parsons, your host, and it is my passion to shine the spotlight on business owners' expertise. Today, I'm continuing a series of interviews with a group of co-authors from a powerful new best-selling book called Teach Your Expertise, which has just been released this week on Amazon. The authors will be sharing their stories and how they discovered the power of teaching what they know by creating an online course. And today's guest is Ann Hession. She is a heart-centered sales expert who helps solopreneurs, coaches, and healers who have amazing gifts for the world but are allergic to sales and selling. As an intuitive coach and energy healer with over 30 years experience in transformational healing and a sales expert who's personally sold millions of dollars of products and services, she's uniquely qualified to help heart-based business owners transform their relationship to sales so they can confidently and easily grow their business without ever feeling fake, pushy, or salesy. Welcome, Ann, to the show. It's so great to have you here.
It is wonderful to be here. I've so been looking forward to this and doing this interview with you. So
I love it. Excuse me. I love that you're here, Ann, because I think this is such an important topic for entrepreneurs and solopreneurs who are still discovering and exploring ways that they can get the word out about their passions, their life's experience, and their expertise. So I'm really, really appreciative that you're taking the time to share yours with our viewers today. Now, one of the first things I always love to find out from the people that I interview is a little bit about their backstory. What is it that you went through to go from, I know, a career in sales into the intuitive side of business and now blending it all together so that you could create a course? Can you give us a little background there?
sure. So probably the sort of intuitive and healing part goes back even further than the sales part. I started to get really intrigued by that and interested in that a long time ago, over 30 years ago, and have done a lot of things in that area. I was a massage therapist, and I was the director of a large wellness center, and with a coach for years, and just always, both for my own personal growth and development and for working with people, I've always been fascinated by that and sort of, just kept getting trained in new things and learning new things. It's just kind of how I live my life, is in that realm of what I call transformation, like transformation and possibility. And because I did several things that were creating a business around that, I've been self-employed most of my life as well. One of the things that I had to come up with, as we all do, is sales. If you can't sell what you do, you don't actually have a business. Right? That's the hard truth. So along the way, I struggled. I used to hate sales. It used to make me feel nauseous, all that stuff, right? That so many, especially heart-centered people, deal with.
Right.
But I was determined I had to get past it. So, I tried different things. I did training, along the way. Sometimes I thought it was something like, maybe I could do this. So one of the things that I went and got a sales job, right? So then I got some training and I got some experience, and it turned out that I did have, some skill in that area. Interestingly to me, as I look back, part of the reason why I had some skill was because of all the personal development work I'd done, right? Because sales, the way that I do sales and the way that I teach sales, is actually all about connection. It is all about communication. It's all about putting the relationship first, right?
Yeah.
So for me, what's been part of this whole journey is like here's what I would say is like, this is the end piece. Is for me now, doing healing work, doing coaching, and doing sales, they're so connected for me, because even though there are different sets of skills, they're all coming from the same place, right? Which is service and putting the relationship first.
Yeah.
So, but it took a journey of years, right, to kind of come to that place to where it's like, oh, I don't have to like be a different person, or do stuff that doesn't feel comfortable or all that stuff in order to sell effectively. It's really about being yourself, but learning certain skills while you're being yourself is really what sales is all about, the way I teach it.
So you have learned yourself how to integrate the whole being into the sales process so that it feels genuine. And as a
Yes.
result of feeling genuine, you are able to make I'm imagining, a faster and deeper connection with your
Mhm.
potential clients than if you hadn't integrated all this. And yet you kind of had to go through the journey yourself, didn't you? Of
I did.
realizing, how do I pull all these parts of me together
Yeah.
and make it work for me? So bravo for figuring that out, because now you are teaching others exactly how to do it. And that's why you now are operating around the Soulpreneur Success Code website, correct?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
So
I
it's
love
really about,
it.
yeah, it's about like heart. I think most heart center entrepreneurs, I do like to joke that they're allergic to sales, but it's not entirely a joke. Right? Allergies really are sort of energetic. It's like that you have such negative energy around something. And so if we have really negative energy around sales, and that's, that most people do, especially heart center people, then it's like you won't do it effectively. One of the things that I think benefits people, how people can benefit from my journey and my experiences, I went and I did do a bunch of sales training. I did go through all that experience, and I took the parts that work for heart-centered people, and I have taken out the parts that don't. So what I mean by that is, I kind of like to joke, a lot of traditional sales training um, is very what I call high testosterone. So if you've done any sales training, you may recognize that, right? It's very male energy.
Mhm.
Now, male energy is a wonderful and beautiful thing. I'm not knocking it. It's just that that type of sales, that high testosterone sales approach, doesn't work for us heart-centered people.
Yeah.
Like if you're thinking like, oh, right, and if you're that's who you are, you were right to steer clear of that. It
Hmm.
doesn't work for you. Okay. But the way, what I do when I call heart-centered sales is actually drawing much more on the traditional female energy, where it's all about the connection. It's all about putting the relationship first. So whether you're male or female yourself, if you are that heart-centered person, that's the type of energy in sales that will work for you. And I mean that both in the sense that you'll be able to do it, right? Right? Like you'll actually feel
Yeah.
confident, and it'll feel authentic to you to do it instead of feeling all yucky. And also it's what will work. Like you will get sales because it's
How
congruent for
amazing
you.
and wonderful does
Yeah.
that have to feel? And I'm pleased that you brought in the idea that men also come from a
Hmm.
heart-centered space. They're not all
Absolutely.
the testosterone-driven
Hmm.
type of people. So you're just talking in general. If you are this type of person, you really connect from the heart. That's
Hmm.
genuinely who you are. Then
Yes.
the traditional sales approach that everyone's been taught for so many generations just isn't as effective as someone who truly connects on a deeper level with people and builds that rapport and that relationship, so that now what you're selling is really more about the connection with yourself. I want more of what Ann's got, as an example, because
Yes.
I feel good when I connect with her. So
Yes.
bravo for figuring this all out and then offering it to the world, which leads us really into my next question, and that is around your course itself.
Hmm.
You created a course around this, and it has a promise that I think people would love to hear a little bit more about. This is how other people will learn how they might put together their own ideas for a course. So share with us the promise of your course.
Well, the promise really is that by doing, it's called the Soulful Sales Code, is my program, and it's a 5-week training program, and it really will transform your whole relationship to sales. It will not only give you the fundamental skills that you need for sales, but it includes, again, remember, I'm an energy healer, right? So I'm an energy healer, I'm a medical intuitive. So in the program, we also do that energetic clearing work to clear away all of those limiting beliefs, those things that are holding you back, the emotional stuff from the past that's in the way of you being in action and getting out there and being able to talk brilliantly and ask wonderful questions about, to people who are interested. So it does both. I call it the inner game and the outer game of sales. Okay. So the outer game is the actual skills. There are skills. You need to learn those skills, the skills of sales. You're not going to be effective in sales if you don't have the skills, just like you won't be effective in soccer if you don't have the skills.
Right.
They're skills. But if you only have the skills and you haven't done the inner work, you're probably just not going to use them, right? You're just not going to get out there.
Perfectly put. Yeah.
Right. And also if you only do the inner work, but you don't get the skills, that won't work either. It's bringing the two together. That's where the magic is.
Very powerful. Inner work and outer work. That's the key. And that's what you cover in the course. Mm-hmm. Now, I know that as a course creator, that there are certain challenges that you might have struggled with, lessons you might have learned. Do you have anything in particular you'd like to share with people around that?
And this really comes to what I talk about in the book. So the book, my chapter of the book is the gift of being a misfit, right? So I really did feel like I was missing. I had these two such different set of skills, right? And this intuitive healer, woo-woo, right? Like really out there with the intuitive, energetic healing, right? And I've got these hardcore, amazing sales skills, right? I mean, I really have in one-on-one conversations sold millions of dollars worth of stuff in just the last few years. And that's such an unusual combination, right? Most heart-centered people, most healers in particular, would rather crawl into a hole in the ground than have a sales conversation. Right? They're like, I just want to help people. I don't have to sell it. So there were these two, other than the sales skills helping me to build my own practice, which they did, they seemed like such different things. So when this is not my first program. My first program was it was more about my healing skills. It was about, I looked at who are my best clients for my healing work. And I would say my best clients are what I would call natural moms, naturally minded moms, right? They are really passionate about natural health and healing for themselves and their family. And they love what I do and they recommend me to everybody. So I was like, that's why I should create my program for them. So I created a program called Calm Mom that was for moms dealing with stress and anxiety, which is pretty much all moms, but especially those who are having really, a lot of issue with that. And it was an amazing program and people got so much out of it. But after running that program twice and having some trouble getting people into it, right, I had to come up against something that's a tough lesson for most entrepreneurs. So chances are, if you haven't come up against this lesson yet, you're going to.
Yeah.
Okay. So the lesson is to really understand who your audience is, who it is that you're trying to help. And I have a passion for helping moms. I'm a mom myself. I'm a mompreneur, and I love helping moms. But here, for whatever it is that you offer, we tend to think, because we're these heart-centered people, we tend to think that our audience, our target market, our target ideal client is people who need what we have to offer, right? That's we're I see they need what I have to offer. I want to help them. The hard lesson is that is not your audience. Your audience is people who want what you have enough to pay for it.
Ooh. That's what I call a gem.
Yes,
if you guys are agreeing with me as you're listening to Ann, was that a gem for you? People who want your program and are willing to pay for it, that's your ideal audience. Oh,
that's the audience.
All
and
right,
it's a tough one, especially because we're I want to help them. But you can't help them if they only need it, but they don't want it and want it enough to pay for it. Right. So going through, I had to sort of stop. So there's a concept. This is one of my tips. The thing I wanted to teach in my chapter is that there's a concept in marketing and in business development it's sort of called dating your audience, right? So you decide who you think your audience is, right? And you go for it. You create stuff for them, you market to them, you date them exclusively, right? You don't go and like be marketing to like 20 different or even 3 or 4 different groups of people at the same time. You really go after that. And then after you've done that for a while, and I recommend at least like 6 to 9 months, could be a little longer, depending on the type of business you have. But after you've really done that, then you stop and you assess, like, is this really my target market? Are these the people, do they really want what I have to offer? How much do I enjoy working with them? What do they want? What were the pros and cons of that? And then you decide, should I keep going? Sometimes that's the best decision. Like, yes, after having this experience, now I know this is who I want to go over. And yes, I haven't, had as much success yet, but I know this is it. And then you just get back in the trenches and figure out how to do your marketing. Or you might decide, like I did, as much as I love working with them, I can't, really was moms, right? I can't make moms take care of themselves. That's what it came down to, right? Something moms really struggle with. Yeah. So I looked and I kind of was like, but I really love helping entrepreneurs, right? Mompreneurs in particular, but soulpreneurs, heart-centered entrepreneurs in general. And they are more motivated. They're more motivated to take action and to invest in something that will help them. And that it was just this sort of process and realizing I love teaching the sales too. So that's how I shifted into that. And then once I did that, everything just started to fall together. Like as soon as I decided that, 4 weeks later, I was teaching my program. Right. And I had like 24 people signed up for it, just like that, without any marketing.
So you knew, right? You knew you had found the right person to offer it to target it to. Yes. And so as much as you say that you loved moms and you wanted to help them live a calm life, the moms were probably so busy not being calm, taking care of everyone else. They didn't have time to have a calm life. So you didn't have someone, as you said, that wanted it. So now you've retargeted. It took you what you said 8 to 9 months to really work through this process. So I think the good tip here, Ann, is that be patient with yourself and pay attention to the signals that you're getting. Yes. And if things are not flowing, down the stream the way they should be, and income stream is following it, it's time to make an adjustment, which you did brilliantly. And as you say, immediately, without even advertising, you had all these people wanting to be a part of your course. So bravo. Great lesson.
And I don't know anybody in business who had all that figured out their first time out. That's not a reasonable expectation, just to be clear. So everybody does this to one degree or another. If you're sort of frustrated and like, I don't know, should I keep going in this direction or not? That's called being an entrepreneur. And that's how it is. But really stop and look, talk to potential customers, talk to people who have been customers, talk to other people, and to help you sort that through, because it is hard sometimes to know, is it time to do a course correction, or is it time to keep going in this direction? Everybody faces that. And so just know that's a normal part of the process, and get support in helping you decide.
I love it. I think this is a very, very important perspective that you're giving people who are thinking about doing an online course, and realize, well, I always call it version 1's better than version none as you get through and work through the process. And even so, you still have a product, you still have an asset for your business. You may come back and revisit.
And I do. And that was a great program. And I may offer, I might retool it a little. I might do something else. It actually is stuff that would be very helpful for entrepreneurs too.
Compreneurs.
Because it can be very stressful being an entrepreneur. So,
now listen, you have a gift that I want to just bring up that is part of the chapter that you're offering. And it is called the Sales Conversation Secrets, 5 Steps to Turn Tell Me More into I'm In. Oh, this sounds really juicy. And tell them a little bit more about it and why they might want to jump on the book and get your free gift. Go ahead.
Absolutely. So this is a training that is, it's about really something that tends to happen early on in a sales conversation or a potential sales conversation, right? So, because sometimes something doesn't start as a sales conversation, but it turns into one, right? So there's something that tends to happen very early on where most people really blow it, basically. And they don't know that they're blowing it, and they don't know. And then the conversation, goes south, or doesn't lead anywhere, and they're left not knowing why. So this will tell you why. It will tell you this fundamental mistake that you've been making. I call it, to give you the short version, I call it the tell me more trap. And here's what I mean by that. You're talking with someone, let's say, maybe you met them at a party or something, and it, ends up coming up what you do for a living, right? What your product or service is. And they express some interest. So in some way, shape, or form, they say, tell me more. Okay. So, I mean, it may literally be those 3 words, or it may be like, oh, that's interesting. How'd you get into that? Or that sounds interesting. Tell me more about that. Or what kind of people do you help? Or right. They say something that boils down to tell me more. Right. So here's what happens in most people's brains when you have your own business. When that happens, your brain goes, whoa, yay! They want to know more. And that's where you make your mistake. You tell them more. Okay. That's the worst thing you can do right then. I know it seems like they want to know more, so I'm just going to tell them more, but it's actually a really big mistake. The reason I'm saying it, and so what you tend to do is go, right? Yeah. And you just start, and then their eyes start to glaze over because you're, so it's a mistake because you don't know why they want to know more. There's so many reasons why they can want to know more. It could be that they have a friend or their sister is interested in what you do, but they aren't. Yeah. It could be they have someone that might be a good referral to you. It could be that it's just sort of intellectually interesting to them, but they have no interest in doing business with you. It could be, there's so many reasons why they could be just being polite. Right?
There is still some of that out there.
Yes, right? So in this training, I break down, there's actually 5 steps. 5 levels of what to do when someone asks you to tell them more. Now, if that seems like a lot, it's so once you see me break it down, and I break it down like super micro for you, you'll be like, oh, that makes so much sense. It's not complicated. It's just that people are kind of jumping from thinking that tell me more means that they're already in, and it doesn't mean that. So I'm going to tell you what the first thing to do is. Okay. So then go ahead and download the training to get all the rest, because this alone is not going to get you all the way to where you're having a really juicy, fabulous sales conversation. But this one thing will actually make a difference. So you seriously might want to write this down. Okay? When someone says some version of "tell me more," that's interesting, I'd like to find out more about whatever it is. Right? This is what you say. I'd love to, but first, tell me what interests you about that.
So easy.
So easy.
And I was thinking it would be followed up with a question.
Yes,
so that you can really know what to tell them more about.
Seriously, couldn't you talk about what you do for like 6 straight hours? And you could, right? Because you love it. Sure. Right? And get all these stories and everything. What are the odds of like that much material, easily 6 hours of material? What are the odds that you're going to give them the part they're interested in?
Right.
Low. Yeah. So find out why they're asking, right? Just so you say, I'd love to, you're not going to so I include that piece because you don't want them to feel like you're being cagey or you don't want to answer your question. But you say, I would love to, because you would. But first, let me ask, what interests you, or what got your attention? What's intriguing to you about that? What do you know? Or is there anything you already know about it? Whatever, some version of that, right? Yeah. And then listen, really, really listen to their answer, and then go ahead and download
and get the rest. Get the download, because I want all 5 steps.
Yes, exactly.
That is wonderful.
Just that one will probably save a lot of the potential sales conversations that you've been like kind of killing in their infancy without realizing it.
Which is a shame, to kill anything in its infancy, let alone your livelihood. Well, listen, let's talk for a moment about the book, the new best-selling book, and we're talking about best-selling now on Amazon Kindle in five, last I heard, five categories.
Yes.
And if you act fast, you can still get it on Amazon for 99 cents. It's called Teach Your Expertise by Alina Vincent and 20 very, very bright entrepreneurs who've been in the trenches doing just what Ann is talking about. So, Ann, let them know from your perspective why you think that this is a book everyone should have in their library.
I think I would say it's for anyone who is even thinking about having their own business or already has their own business and wants to be more successful with it. Because especially now, right, in the digital age in general, and now the COVID age, right, which we really don't know how long that's going to play out in terms of life having to be more in the virtual. You really, for almost any kind of business you have, you need to have a way to be online and to reach people and to get your message out there in a way that's really powerful. And I didn't think for my business that creating an online course was something that made any sense. Now I'm like, why did I think that? It seems so obvious, but until I met Alina, I didn't see it. I truly just didn't see it. And now I've got, two and creating, actually I've got several. That's my sort of flagship one is the one we talked about before, but I've got several, and it's an extraordinary way to reach people, to get your message out there, for those, and again, like what I call heart-centered entrepreneurs. You have something for the world. You have a gift, you have a message, you have your wisdom, you have whatever it is that you've learned in life and that you've created and that you can do for people, and people are actually waiting to hear from you. You may not realize it, but they are, and this is how you can get your message out there to them. And don't try to figure it out on your own. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. I wouldn't have been able to create my program the way I did without working with Alina and learning from her wisdom that she shares in this book. So don't go it alone, but do it, because really the world's waiting for you.
Yeah, I agree with you. The world is waiting for you, and you just don't know who you're depriving of your life experience and your expertise by not getting something out there in a bigger way. And I worked the one-to-one model for so many years and loved that approach. But when you have life experience and expertise in something, you really owe it to the world to get it out there and to share it with other people. And we now have the ability that we might not have had 10, 20 years ago to do it in such an effective format as Alina teaches. So I totally agree with you. It is such a valuable resource, and I hope you all will go pick it up on Amazon. And again, the link is in the description below, but you can also just go look it up on Amazon. It's a bestseller. Teach Your Expertise. Now, Ann, I would love to hear maybe a final word of wisdom from you before we sign off today. What's your final thoughts?
So one of the core tenets in what I teach around doing sales and heart-centered sales is that the most effective, powerful, and in many ways sort of radically effective thing you can ever do is to just be yourself. Like to just totally be who you fully are, your authentic self, right in the moment. And I say that because so often when people are faced with a sales situation, we leave. We think, oh, I have to be some other kind of person. And we put this weird sales hat on, like, oh, I have to put my sales hat on now. And then the person we were talking to who was thinking of working with us is now like, what happened to the great person I was thinking of working with? Who's this weird person in the sales hat?
Yeah.
Right. And because we have this belief that we think of sales as this thing that's some other thing, it's some mystical weird thing, and you have to be manipulative or underhanded or something to do it. And that's not what sales is. That's like a perversion of sales, right? What real sales is totally actually being your own authentic self. But to do that, you need to learn some skills. And it's really, I'd say, the fundamental mistake that people think about sales is that they fail to realize that sales is just a set of skills. It's just a set of skills. Like I said, like soccer, like energy healing, like interviewing people, right? It's literally just a set of skills. So if you just learn those skills, that frees you up to be who you are authentically in the moment with the other person, rather than not knowing what to say. It's really the thing that yanks you out of being present is the fact that you don't have the skills.
Oh, so wise. You're such a wise woman. Thank you, Ann, so much for being here today. And thank you, all of you viewers. We would love to hear from you. Put down what you found are gems, because, oh my goodness, Ann has left us with so many. And we look forward to seeing you on this series again for the Inspirational Entrepreneurs Spotlight interview. Thank you so much, Ann, for being here. And thank you, all of you, for joining us as well. We'll see you on the next show. Bye-bye now.
Bye.